Hi, welcome to my other show. This is Muse. My name is Susan Rushton, and this is the show on which I get to talk to people who are visited by the Muse and say, Muse. These people, whatever kind of arts that they're stuck with because of this Muse, that's what I want to talk about. Today, my guests are people who hear the storytelling muse. This is Chery Anderson and Mark Berry, of members of the Foothill Storytelling Guild, right?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Yeah, and if you want to learn more, and you'll hear this again, but log on to foothillstorytellingguild.com, and that will tell you a lot about what this organization is and why they exist and who they are. But they are also here. This is December 2018 that we're recording this, and we're looking forward to January 26th, 2019, and the Auburn Winter Storytelling Festival, which is at the General Gomez Art and Event Center, 808 Lincoln Way in Auburn, at 9:30 in the morning until late into the evening, depending on how long these stories go.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So, Chery, I've talked to you for a long time. Mark, I've recently met you, and you've charmed me with your wonderful compliments. Thank you. So, I wasn't aware that you were a storyteller, Chery. From the moment we met, this is a storyteller. So, what about storytelling? What's important about it? Just leap in.
Well, as you know, I am a writer of short stories. You were my teacher one time a few years back. And I would write these short stories, and they would just be out there, and I never would get any feedback. I didn't know if they were good or bad or just what. And then I discovered storytelling about 5 years ago. And when you tell a story, you're putting your words that are down on paper are coming out verbally, and the audience that is listening, you get feedback from them immediately.
Yes.
Either a yawn or a laugh or whoa.
What?
Yeah.
Wait.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
So I found that very rewarding. It was my words that were giving the other people I was talking to
and the sound of your words in the moment.
In the moment, right now. Yes. So that's how I got involved in storytelling. And what I feel about storytelling is the connection, one to one. Often when I'm telling before an audience, I will pick out one person and I'll tell my story to that one person in the audience because I've connected to her or to him.
Okay.
I got hooked when I was a toddler. My grandfather was an actual cowboy, herded the Dogies on the Oregon Trail.
And he had plenty of stories.
When I was knee-high, he could tell stories and sing songs and accompany himself on harmonica from dawn till dusk.
Oh, boy.
And I never dozed off. I was on the edge of my seat. And then later, about 20 years ago, a good friend of ours, Joan Stockbridge, had a little storytelling thing at what is now the Gomez Center in Auburn. And I went out of curiosity, and I found out there are storytellers who actually like telling stories, and then I really got bit. And then we formed, that was the moment when 3 or 4 of us, we formed the Foothill Storytelling Guild so that we could get together and swap stories with each other. And then on occasion, we would put on something for the public, for an audience. And that's the nature of what we're doing on January 26th.
Yeah. Now, I recognize after looking at the website, FoothillStorytellingGuild.com, that that you've been doing this the festival for several years.
This is our fourth annual. I just want to say something, and then I know you have. The way it started, there's a big storytelling event up in North San Juan, up above Nevada City in July every summer. And the Sierra Storying Festival, you might get 500, 600 people attending from literally all over the world. I've met people there from Greece and Italy that came to that event. And I woke up one November and I thought, I don't want to have to wait clear until July to hear good stories. And so I talked to my friends at the Guild and I said, what do you think about maybe having something maybe in January, half a year away, maybe like in Auburn? Well, the Guild members
Why? What a good idea.
Exactly. They jumped on that idea.
Yeah, we did.
And so we just, by the seat of our pants, we put together the first one, and it keeps growing every year. And thanks to Chery's fundraising efforts, we've got some support, and we can afford to do it. And one of our very special things that we're so proud of is it's free to the public.
Yeah, that's lovely. That's lovely. And it's sponsored by, it's part of the Arts Council of Placer County. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's under its aegis.
Yes.
Yeah, they're one of those.
And the Auburn's Art Commission. Yeah. So we have both of the local groups that are supporting us.
Okay,
so that's nice. Good.
So, Mark, I see storytelling, the original social media, on your T-shirt. We were joking around. Actually, it's not joke. I wasn't joking before we started taping. That storytelling is really old-fashioned in the 21st century. So you as a toddler, I can understand. Most people can understand. But you now, are you still a toddler?
I'll tell you what I love most about storytelling in this day and age, and it becomes more significant to me every year. When you're with a group of storytellers and someone's telling their story and other people are listening, there are no screens. There is not one face that's lighted by a screen. It's real. It's not a dress rehearsal. It's not a sneak preview. It's live. It's always different. Each story comes out a little bit different each time. It's story performing. And we are all storytellers. Not only is it ancient, because that's what people have always done, but we still, everyone is a storyteller. Everyone tells stories today. When you and I met, I told you that I was raised in San Francisco and about, loving Herb Cain. And you're my local Herb Cain with your article in the Auburn Journal.
You heard it here.
And you told me some of your, it's what people do. Yeah. When you meet somebody or you get to know somebody better, you tell them some of your stories and they tell you some of their stories. So everyone is a storyteller. And one of the reasons we have this event is to encourage the public to give it a try. Come up there, get on stage. We've got plenty of time for you to come and give us one of your 5-minute stories, one of your favorite stories. And it's kind of like karaoke. Some of them are really good, some are not so good, but we have fun with all of them.
Okay. Yeah.
That's one of the ways, when we were setting up the festival, one of the criteria that we wanted was to open it up to the audience, just to invite people to come up and tell a story. So we have what's called open telling. It starts at 2:45, and anyone in the audience can stand up on stage and tell a 5-minute story. And we get all kinds of stories. We had a story one time from a young woman whose mother was abusing her, and she's standing up there crying as she's letting out all this story. And then we've had people who came and they told very funny stories and very inspirational stories. One of the ones I remember specifically was a woman told about her aunt who was on the Titanic and survived.
Wow.
So
goodness.
Family story that they had that passed down. So that's open telling. That's for anyone who in the audience who wants to stand up and tell. And it encourages us, as Mark says, it encourages us all to give a little bit and to accept it. And also.
Now, if when someone's this hordes of people watching us now, will hear you can go up on stage.
Mm-hmm.
Must one go up on stage?
No. We ask for volunteers. The only criteria is it's 5 minutes, and we do have a time limit. We don't have the hook that pulls you off, but you do get a bell that ding dongs. So it's 5 minutes, and you must tell the story without notes. So you can't read a story, or it has to be a story that you're telling without notes.
Wow.
So that's fun too. And then after the open telling, one of the really fun parts of our festival is the Liars Contest.
The Liars Contest.
We have a trophy for the biggest liar in Auburn. So we have had some wonderful stories. I myself have been runner-up for 3 years.
Wow.
So I don't know if that's good or bad. I'm not a good liar, I guess, or something.
Darn.
Yes, you are.
A good storyteller, but maybe, yeah.
So we do have tall tales.
And the trophy for that, I like to say, the trophy for the best liar in Auburn this year is the Golden Shovel Trophy, and that will be handed out. We pick judges. We take this. I want to say we take it seriously, but we're laughing the whole time. So we'll see who wins this year.
Okay. Chery, you were. Well, wait. Let me start over. Mark was enthralled early on, just out of the womb, essentially. You learned it. You discovered storytelling later.
Much later, yes.
What about other people? What about your?
Which would you say? I would say we just have all kinds, really. People who are telling stories of their own family, as I was saying. But then we have a lady who tells fairy tales. She tells about the princes who went to sleep in the woods, and the prince came along and woke her up.
Okay.
And wonderful stories. And of course, Joan Stockbridge often tells mythology stories. So there is just a wide variety. A lot of people, when you start saying you are a storyteller, a lot of people think you're telling stories for children. At our festival, we do have an hour-and-a-half program, Stories for Children, in the morning, starting at 10:30. And actually, the leader of these stories is a professor from a college that's an early childhood development professor. So he's getting across a moral. And really connecting with the children. And then,
if you have kids or grandkids, you want to be there at 10:30. It is amazing how well these people, it's not my ball of wax, but it's amazing how these people relate to children. I was fascinated last year by the parents. So there's all these kids listening to the storytellers, and the parents have their phones out taking pictures of their kids because their kids were having so much fun. I love seeing that.
Yeah, it is fun. They get enthralled with what's going to happen next. Kind of a story.
Now, if a person has a story to tell, but is nervous about being up there, and because you don't know what to do with your hands, and how does a person solve that problem, or is it a problem?
We just suggest they be natural, as you would be sitting at the kitchen table. Your hand. I guess in a way we're all Italian. We like to use our hands, maybe.
Okay.
So just to be natural, and keep in mind the people in the audience are on your side. They want you to do a good job. Yeah. Nobody is there judging.
But they want to be entertained.
They want to be entertained.
Want to have a good time.
The storytelling audience is the best audience you will ever find to speak. The most loving, the most supportive. You can feel it that they're on your side when you first try storytelling to a group of story listeners. And you know what the favorite thing is in the whole world for a storyteller?
No. Tell me, what is the favorite thing in the world?
An audience.
Yeah.
So we need listeners.
Yeah. Okay. Again, I'm talking to Chery Anderson and Mark Berry, who are both heavily involved in the Foothill Storytelling Guild. And we're talking about the Auburn Winter Storytelling Festival, in addition to storytelling in general, which is January 29th, 2019.
26.
Oh, excuse me, thank you. January 26, 2019 at the General Gomez Art and Event Center, 808 Lincoln Way. It's free. It starts at 9:30 and goes far into the evening as far as how long does it last usually?
I want to correct you. It starts at 10:30 in the morning.
Does it?
Yeah.
Excuse me. Okay.
It starts at 10:30 in the morning with
All
the
right.
children's program. After lunch, Chery hadn't mentioned yet, but after lunch we have a storytelling workshop, and people pay good money to go to a storytelling workshop with a professional storyteller. And once again, ours is free.
Huh?
And so if you'd like to learn, we have it in that order for a reason. If you'd like to learn something about storytelling, what is storytelling? What's an example of storytelling? How can I ever tell a story? Well, that's why we have the workshop at 1 o'clock. And then after the workshop, we have the open telling, so you can get up and try what you've just heard about and learned.
Okay.
And this year, our workshop facilitator is Joan Stockbridge.
Oh boy.
And Joan Stockbridge is a national winner of an Oracle Award.
Yes.
So we're very pleased to have her
Yes.
coming and doing our 90 minutes storytelling.
Let me explain that just a
workshop.
little bit. There are lots of guilds like ours, the Foothill Guild, there's a Sonora Guild, there's a Sacramento Guild, and these guilds do things all throughout the year, and there's several of them. There's one, National Storytelling Network. It's kind of an umbrella, loosely organized. And once a year, they give out an award to the outstanding storyteller of all the guilds. And they call that the Oracle Award. And our Joan Stockbridge, who's the
Talking about mythology.
yeah,
Okay.
she's the one that got me hooked here in Auburn 20 years ago, and we started the guild. And I'm so proud that in our evening is for professionals. Our evening is the featured professionals. We have 6 amazing storytellers, and I'm just so happy to let you know that this year we have not 1 but 2 Oracle winners in our evening program.
Great. Yes. I hope you guys, you there, are not as isolated as I am. I had no idea how big storytelling was. This is great. This is wonderful.
That's part of what we do, is get the word out. As Chery said, in our community, when a person hears the word storytelling, they see little kids in a library and story reading. This is different. That has its place, and it's wonderful.
Well, it's not
this
that
is
different. We're all children. We're all children, and we all want to be entertained and surprised and scared a little. Yeah. And delighted, and we want to laugh. Yes.
I love to be on the edge of my seat. Something's going to happen between Once Upon a Time and Happily Ever After. I want to know what happened. I'm just like a little kid, like you said.
Yeah. Chery, you have a funny story to tell.
I do. This is a story that I've been telling for the last year or two, and I hope you'll enjoy it.
Yes.
There was a time in America where a man could own all the land he could ride his horse across in one day. And there was such a man. His name was Jed Jones. Now, Jed owned this big ranch out in West Texas. And he was a bachelor, and one day he decided he was just a little lonely. And he decided he would go bride shopping. And he'd heard about a farmer over in the Pecos Valley who had 4 daughters of marrying age. So he headed over that way to see Slim McGraw. Now Slim, he had these 4 daughters, and he was beginning to wonder if he was going to marry them off because, well, you'll find out why. So he was really pleased to see Jed Jones come riding in, and he threw a big old barbecue, and they're sitting around chatting, and then he started to bring out his daughters. The first daughter was Faith. And Faith came out and stood next to her dad while he's telling Jed all about her talents she could cook and she could sew, and oh, she was wonderful at doing laundry and all these home art things. And as he's talking about her, she slowly disappears. Poof, she's gone. Well, Jed didn't think that was such a good trait to have in a wife. So he says, oh, let's see the next one. So the next daughter that came out is Hope. Well, Hope was wearing breeches, and she walked up the walls, and she's up in the rafters, and she's turning cartwheels, and then she ends up hanging by her toes, looking for all the world like a vampire bat. Well, Jed was not impressed with that either. So the next daughter came out, and as it happens, Charity, she stood next to her dad, and he's going on and on about how she can call in the pigs at night. Woo! Suki, suki, suki! Well, do you remember I said Jed had a cattle ranch? He had no need for someone who could call in the pigs at night. He was getting a little depressed. And so he says, let's see the fourth daughter. And that's when Slim McGraw got a little antsy. Well, you know, I don't know. He wasn't too sure, you see, because, well, this last daughter, her name was Honey, and her talent was just odd. You see, Honey was a storyteller. Oh, dear. But Honey does come out, and she takes Jed's hand, and she tells him a story for each finger. And they fall in love in the afternoon and live happily ever after.
Well done.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well told. Stories fall into three basic categories: ha-ha, aha, and aw.
Oh,
So most stories fall into one of those three categories. So that's a ha-ha.
okay.
And at the storytelling event, you'll hear plenty of aha. Learned something there. Got me thinking. And touched my heart. And wasn't that beautiful?
Yeah.
You hear all kinds.
Now, what are the audience? What's the audience range at these things, at these events?
It's a vast range. It's open to the public, and we get people of all ages and all ethnicities and all walks of life. You never know.
You know, the General Gomez Center is where the old Placer Arts building was, and it's right downtown in Auburn. And last year I was just kind of standing noticing who was coming in. And we had senior citizens, we had people who came in with teenagers, and amazingly, we got a lot of tourists. People who just were walking, who were in Auburn for the weekend, and they saw the signs and they wandered in, and oftentimes they would stay for the whole day.
Wow,
you know?
That's great publicity. That's wonderful.
I think so. So we do. We get a wide range of people.
It's very much a family event. Nothing will be R-rated.
Okay.
Perhaps a little PG, but not even too much of that. So it's a really good thing to do on a January Saturday, to take your beloved or your kids or your family or your friends, and it's a fun thing to do.
Yeah. Now, what if somebody is interested in belonging to the storytelling guild? Does it cost to belong?
No, we don't have dues. We meet maybe about 4 times a year. We often just have kind of a potluck. And because we love stories, we just stand up and tell stories after we eat.
Okay.
So we have a little get together about 4 times a year. We have a wonderful Facebook page also, as well as our website. So through the Facebook page, you could send a message if you would be interested in being on our mailing list. We'll let you know when our next event is, and just kind of show up and enjoy the stories or get brave enough and stand up and tell a story.
Okay.
You know, I started out as a story listener, and I haven't told you this. I started out as a story listener. When Joan Stockbridge had that thing 20 years ago, I was just fascinated by hearing everybody tell their stories. And then we wanted a guild, and I thought, oh boy, I get to hear more stories. And so we'd be around all telling stories, and I'd be loving it. And eventually, after everyone told a story, they'd all look at me. I'm supposed to participate, not just listen. So that's how I started learning a story to tell.
What's the hardest part about, or is there a hard part about telling stories?
Trying to keep it
short.
In a time limit. We do have a 5-minute time limit for the open telling and also for the liars contest, just because several people want to participate. And so rather than hearing one person for 20 minutes, we'd rather hear 4 people for 5 minutes each. Yeah. So a lot of that's a challenge for some people, is to keep it, to get your beginning and your middle and your end and get it all, make your points and get it all in the 5-minute limit. That's now in the evening with our professional tellers, our featured tellers, they have 20 minutes. They might tell one story, or they might tell more than one in their 20 minutes. And that's a variety of 6 completely different types of tellers, all very experienced. They will tell different types of stories. They might tell a personal story, like the story you would tell me about your 16th birthday and what was delightful or what went wrong. Those are personal tales. And then there's fables, and then there's fairy tales, and then there's historical tales. And we will have quite a variety in the evening program.
Tell about the names of the speakers, though, the evening tellers that we have coming at 6:30.
We have Joan Stockbridge. Not only is she doing, and she, by the way, she used to live here. She's moved. She's coming back from Texas to do this. Joan's going to do not only the workshop, but she's going to be one of our evening featured tellers, an Oracle winner. We also have another Oracle winner named Mary McGrath. We have Angela Jones from Sacramento Storytelling Guild. She and I co-hosted an event down in Sacramento that was just delightful about 2 months ago. Angela is from Trinidad, West Africa, and she has a little lilt to her voice.
Oh, nice!
A little sing-song lilt to her voice. We have 2 very famous men in the storytelling circles. We have Kirk Waller, who has been one of the featured tellers at the Big Sierra storytelling event. We're so glad that he's coming up from Berkeley. And we have Bill Ratner. Bill Ratner is internationally known. He's going to come up from Los Angeles.
Wow.
And I seem to be forgetting one.
And Mike Thompson.
And our Mike Thompson, our beloved Mike Thompson. He's a member of our guild. He grew up on a South Sea island of Palau. He grew up where there was no electricity, no phones, and
all there was storytelling.
And the people in that culture that were the most revered were the navigators.
Ooh.
The people that could navigate the boats without any technology. And he usually has some really heartwarming stories. So Mike Thompson. So we've got 3 boys and 3 girls, and
lots of fun.
Lots of fun. That's
okay. Chery Anderson, Mark Berry of the Foothill Storytelling Guild. I'm really happy that you came, and I hope that you attend the Auburn Winter Storytelling Festival on January 26, 2019. At the General Gomez Art and Event Center. Thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you.
Yes.
Appreciate it.
Yes.
Thank you, Susan.
It's always nice to have a good audience.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
And thanks for watching.